So one concern that's been laid out on the table for Scorpio is that only first-party devs are going to use its full potential. The thought is that third-party devs are just going to leave the extra power to just sit there, and if anything, the PS4 Pro might be holding the Scorpio back because, again, devs are going to code for the lowest common denominator. And while those things are certainly possibilities that could definitely happen with some devs because every dev is different, so they all make their own decisions, at least one major developer has come out and stated that the PS4 Pro isn't going to hold them back from making the best game that they possibly can with the Scorpio, and they plan on their game to do better with Scorpio. That comes from the guy creating Project Cars 2. Here's what he said, quote, "We may go higher resolution on Scorpio compared to the Pro, or we may keep lower res but increase detail. Again, too early to say, but if we can do something extra on Scorpio easily, we will do it. We won't hold it back due to the PS4 Pro." And I think that's probably going to be the trend and not the exception, because most devs, they scale their games anyway. They're created on the PC, so they max everything out. They make their game look as good as it possibly can. They include, those features on the PC for people who want to run them or who can run them. And then they scale it down to bring it to consoles. So they uncheck boxes, they lower resolution, whatever it can to get it to run smoothly. And so I think this is something you're going to see quite often, where games are scaled to use a lot of the power for Scorpio. It's not like some people think where you go in and you create a full game from scratch on every system. And Microsoft has already stated that they'll make it easy for devs so that they can just add a few lines of code to say, look, if you see the Scorpio system is detected, then use these 4K assets and so on. And apparently Microsoft is thinking this is going to be the trend as well, because Phil Spencer is out tweeting this week that he fully expects Scorpio to have the best looking multi-platform games available. But what I'm afraid is happening is sort of a catch-22, where Microsoft is going to wash their hands clean of this controversy by saying, hey, look, we make no demands to developers. You can go develop any sort of game you want to, but in the back of their mind, they know that devs aren't going to go code different frames per second for the same game for different consoles. And so what's going to happen is, yes, the system is being held back to the older platforms, but Microsoft is acting all innocent because they're saying, well, it's just up to the devs and we can't control what they decide to do. And I say that because this is precisely what the general manager at Microsoft Studios Publishing said. She said, developer choice. But as a developer, I would bet no one chooses different frame rates for multiplayer games ever. So definitely put me in that skeptical category that all Scorpio games are going to be running 60 frames per second. And I sure wouldn't bet on Destiny 2, because I know a lot of people are getting excited and hyped that they're going to announce that at E3 that it's going to be 60 on Scorpio or something. If they do, great, but I wouldn't hold my breath. And if they fail and we see several games come out on the Scorpio that's 30 frames per second, of course, everybody's going to blame it on the devs, and you can blame it on them, whoever. But whoever's to blame, it is an utter shame that you have a 2017 console that's putting out games and shooters at 30 frames per second. And please spare me the whole it's more cinematic BS, or not every game needs 60 frames per second unless it's a shooter or a racer, which Destiny 2 is a shooter, by the way. And also, some people claim that they can't see 60 frames per second. You should probably get your eyes checked. So I think this is where console players should hope that the console becomes more like the PC, because I think the best route to go would be to give console gamers the same choices that PC gamers get. So if you want to lower the resolution, you can decide that. If you want to uncheck and lower settings, lower down post-processing or whatever, and let players prioritize frame rates over graphics, I think that would make everybody happy. And so I don't see why this couldn't happen. Just give us the same sort of settings. And some games are starting to give a lot more PC-like settings on the consoles, but I would like to see it go even further. And I think console gamers could decide whether they want higher frame rates or higher resolution and better graphics. So, do you agree? Post your thoughts down below. That does it for me, the Red Dragon. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.